Backchat TV. Subscribe.
He has also talked about it. That left hook is so good, and it's so long and so precise and so hard, but
What's going on, boxing fans? It's Backchat TV, back with another one. We're going to talk about the fight, big fight, welterweight fight, Jaron Ennis against Romain Villa. Good fight, man. I watched it live. Villa, I actually liked the fight when it was announced because Romain Villa definitely is a step up from the opponents that Jaron Ennis has been fighting so far, and I was happy about that. He's a good fighter, come forward fighter, but aggressive. He has like a 90% or more than 90% knockout ratio. I knew he was going to be tough. I've seen Jaron Ennis a few times get hit in previous fights against some tough guys, so I wanted to really see, what it was about, and just to know if the hype is real, which we all have a very good idea that the hype is real prior to this fight. Now we know for definite the hype is real. Well, you could say the hype is not real. He's not hype. He's a great fighter, Jaron Ennis. Got a lot of skills. Often when you see a guy like him who can do a lot of different things, these are the guys that get to the top, and stay at the top. Often you get some guys who are really good at one thing, get to the top, but they don't stay at the top because they get found out for their weaknesses. Jaron Ennis, so far, I can't see really any weaknesses in him. And that is a sign of a real champion in my view. Started off, first of all, his entrance to the Undertaker thing was quite good. He brings a great following. I see him becoming a star, to be honest. I see him having a great fan base and, rivaling the kind of fan base of Gervonta Tank Davis, definitely. And it's nice to have like another star in a different weight class. Gervonta Davis definitely is a star now, and then we've got young up and coming stars like Jaron Ennis as well, ready to take over from the more established welterweight champions of the likes of Crawford and Spence, who will undoubtedly move up soon. But we are likely to get these big fights now, as we know. Spence is fighting Crawford, which we all know, on the 29th. We want to see Jaron Ennis right in the mix with these guys. Very early on, I actually made a video quite a long time ago now, before the when the Spence and Crawford fight first got cancelled. I said that Errol Spence, Crawford and Jaron Ennis are 1, 2 and 3, and I don't know who is 1, 2 and 3, but between these three, they're right up there. And a lot of people kind of had a lot to say about that because Jaron Ennis had not been proven yet, but I knew just from looking at him that he was going to be up there, and I said that I put him number 3 so far because he hasn't fought tough competition at the time. Fast forward to now, he's fought some tough competition. This guy was tough. He was coming forward. He took a lot of shots. The fight could have even been stopped earlier, but he took a lot of shots. But you can see that he's a tough guy, which is why he's got through a lot of fights himself. He's also a hard puncher himself. He caught Jaron Ennis a few times. It was few and far between, but he did catch him a few times. And you can see that the guy got power. He kind of reminds me of Madonna. You remember the guy who fought Floyd Mayweather twice? Madonna. He reminds me of him. He looks a bit like him. He punches hard like him. He's tough like him. I can't see any difference between him and Madonna, to be honest. They're like the same person. But it's not easy to fight, to beat a tough guy like this, a tough opponent in this style by knockout. And I believe that a star was definitely born today. The fight started off first round, second round, third round. Ennis was controlling the fight with a jab, beautiful jab, honestly. One of the best in the business. He uses his jab in lots of different ways, He flicks his jab out there. He uses it as a rangefinder so that he can kind of set up his defensive distance. I love the way he does that. He's got great feet, so it allows him to adjust his jab. He sets up his other punches off the jab, which is what you're supposed to do. He uses his jab to position his opponent. In this case, he positioned Villa where he wanted him. If Villa was coming forward and he wanted to kind of get off the ropes, he would jab in a way to position Villa so that he could circle out. And often Villa fell for that and ended up himself in the corner. I think he varied his jab, sometimes jab into the body, and he controlled Villa for most of the early rounds where Villa was at his strongest. He controlled with the jab and fought a really smart fight for the first half of the fight. As the rounds got on, and obviously Villa was getting hit with that jab quite a lot, he started to add a lot of right hands to it, adding the right hand, and Villa started to get quite busted up. He made an adjustment, I think around 4 or 5. Villa started quickening up his feet because he really was getting hit with that jab quite a lot, and he started to get closer. So as he started to close the distance, he had a little bit more success because he could get a bit closer to Ennis, and he landed a few body shots. He was looking for that overhand right all night. He caught him a few times, but most of the time he missed. Round 6, 7, 8, 9, it was all Ennis, man, just beating up Villa with so many different shots. It looked as if Villa was a step behind, quite a few steps behind Ennis in the speed department, the foot speed particularly. He's got kind of slow feet. And obviously, you need to have quick feet if you're fighting Ennis, because Ennis uses all his tools. He uses his footwork, his fast hands, his jab, and then Villa found out on the inside where he thought he would have his most success, it actually turns out that Ennis is actually amazing. Really good body puncher, really good at close range as well. He actually wanted to fight at close range. As we saw in this fight, he landed a lot of great uppercuts, which caught Villa flush. He landed a lot of right hands, a lot of left hand check hooks as well, punches to the body. He was definitely breaking down, like I said, between those later rounds. And in round 10, he caught him. It started with a jab, actually, a really nice jab, and Villa kind of stumbled forward. You could see that made an impact, and then literally Ennis just threw a barrage of shots, and the referee kind of pulled them apart, you know. And then after that, the second sequence, which in round 10, which ended the fight, was, I think it was a left hook, which really caught Villa flush, and then he staggered against the ropes, and then the ending came along after. I think there was an uppercut in there which ended the shots. I can't remember exactly the sequence, but it ended up with Villa on the canvas, not knowing where he was. He was totally dazed, totally out of it. First time in his career, so that's a big thing to note. It's very difficult to knock out someone who's never been knocked out before. So, this is a great win, and this puts him right up there for me as number 3 or 4. Definitely top 5. We know top 5 in the world at welterweight. But I've always thought that he was up there anyway. So it was only a matter of time. In the post-conference, he said some very interesting things. He talked about who he wants to fight next. He is not ducking anyone, which is another thing I like about him. He called out Spence and Crawford. He knows they've got their fight coming up, but he said that even though they've got a rematch, if for any reason the fight was very one-sided, which is what he's hoping for, then he might get a shot straight away, a shot at all those delicious belts. And that's what Ennis wants. So I like that. A nice, hungry, ambitious fighter with lots of talent, lots of skill, athleticism. You really can't call it. Between him and the established 2, Spence and Crawford, there's no real huge gulf in skill. Ennis has just as much athleticism as those 2 guys, just as much punching power. He's shown more punching power in some ways, but let's just say, it depends who you're fighting. So I like the fact that he's got a lot of punching power. He's not someone who has a lot of skills but doesn't have punching power, and that's very important for if he's gonna really pose any significant threat to the top 2. He's going to have punching power, athleticism, and stamina, especially against someone like Errol Spence. And I think Jaron Ennis personally ticks all those boxes. He also actually ticks the boxes of being able to take a punch as well, because we've seen him get hit in a previous fight. He also got hit. He definitely got chin checked in this fight as well. He got caught. I can't remember what punch it was and what round it was, but he got caught quite flush with a shot from Villa, and he took it well. I think it was an uppercut or something. Yeah, I think so, or right hand, or right hook, or an uppercut. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back, but he took it well and came back aggressive. Villa was a really good test, and that's why I like this fight. I would like to see him up against one of the champions now. But if it doesn't happen, because obviously the champions, they have a rematch clause, I would like to see him against another stiff test, another level up, someone like Ugas. He also mentioned fighting Ugas. I'd love to see that fight. I think that would really show kind of really for sure where he's at. Yeah, so I would like that kind of fight for him, Ugas, or maybe a Virgil Ortiz or someone like that. But yeah, I'm glad that he's calling out the best. I like the fact that it's not just a 2-horse race, and we've got the likes of Jaron Ennis also in the mix. Tell me what you thought of the fight. If you watched it live or you got to see the highlights, what did you think of his performance? Did you think he's worthy of, getting a shot at the two champions, Crawford and Spence? Do you think he would stand a chance against an Errol Spence or a Terence Crawford? Do you think maybe he can beat them both? Let me know what you think, man, because I'm not sure. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. I am sure about his pedigree, but I don't know. Does he beat a Terence Crawford? Does he beat a relentless Errol Spence? Is he that good yet? Should we throw him in the fire? I think he's ready for it. But like I said, let me know what you think.
If you enjoyed this
I'm on to
video,
the next
please
one.
leave a comment. Feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of a similar nature.